Do you consider yourself a spiritual fixer? Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video because many healers are really good at healing because they know, they can see, they can sense, feel, hear, and be quite keen on knowing exactly what's out of balance for someone and how to help them to fix it. And that's okay if you have clients that are coming and they're specifically asking a question, they're specifically asking for suggestions on that issue, and maybe either, want to talk to the therapist about it, or an energy healer, or like for me, a psychic that can maybe see what the spiritual contracts and agreements are. That's one thing. But if you are having challenges to kind of set boundaries around wanting to fix everybody, what does that kind of look like in the energy field? So my name is Nancy Rebecca. If you're new to my channel and you love this information, I would appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button. But I have lots of information that I share with you about how does the energy inside of you influence others, such as being an energetic fixer, or how does the outer world, things that going on, wars and politics and banking and corruption, how does all that noise in the world impact you on the inside? So that's ultimately what all of my videos are about. So let's jump into it. So I've made a lot of notes about this, so you're going to see me looking down at my paper because even though I know the subject well, I just don't want to miss any details of what I want to share with you. So the very first thing I start off with, do you believe that, are you someone who believes that you must insist others to help them fix their problems, or are you the type of person that believes in the other person's ability to problem solve and fix themselves? Now, if you were to ask me that question, I would say, oh, absolutely. I believe that everyone has the ability to tap into their own strengths, to know how to use their wisdom and knowledge spiritually, to navigate life and to problem solve and to take action to solve those problems. I would tell you that. However, if I'm being really honest with you, what inspired this whole conversation is my 43-year-old son asked me a couple of weeks ago if I might just kind of back up a little bit and always trying to help solve his problems. I mean, he's 43 years old, but what that inspired me, the reason why it inspired me, because I remember about that age having that same conversation with my own mother. So we can express those kind of fixer mentality by saying, well, this is what a mother does, right? To her children, she helps them problem solve. Anyway, I could give myself enough really good excuses to say I'm in the right, but it did help me to kind of pause and sit back a little bit. So in my own process, if I can help you to identify maybe your processes, or you can just have a good laugh at my process, then that's exactly what we're going to do today. So I do work full time as a psychic, and I could see issues in the energy field long before it plays out in the human field. Now, that's a problem, because if you can see if someone would just do things this way, or if they just did things that way, or if they just meditated, that's my big thing. If you all just meditated, life would be different. It can be an issue when you're just really needing to kind of stay in your own backyard, where you're really being asked to stay in your own backyard and you're letting people be in their own backyard. All right, here we go. So what does potentially a spiritual fixer look like, or an energetic fixer? So often you will be surrounded by individuals who have a lot of problems. They'll have drama, chaos. They may also be physically, emotionally, mentally unstable, and they rely on your stability to settle things down. You might just even be that go-to person in the family to mediate, to make things better, to smooth things out. behind the back door conversations. You might uplift each person, making them feel better about their side of the conflict. And both sides may feel like the winner. You help them to feel like the winner, and you feel great as the fixer because you got to do the job that you are really good at. So you can see how you can feel pretty good about yourself, right? Or how about at work? So your boss might rely on you because they know out of everybody in the office, if you're a fixer, you're going to be the go-to person. The boss is like, hey, if I want the job done well, I'm going to call on Frank over here. I'm going to call on Susan because they're really good at fixing things and they're good about getting people to want to come together to fix things. And so they may call on you, or your workmates may call on you saying, I need to get this project done. I need to get help finishing it done so that everything runs smoothly in the office again. And you're more than willing to put all of your work aside to jump in, to be that good team player, to be the fixer, to help get everything caught up and on board again. But what ends up happening is you're behind on your work and you need another fixer to come help you get caught up. But usually there aren't other fixers around to help you get caught up. So here you are burning the midnight oil to try to get things done. But you are old faithful, old reliable, because you're just going to turn around again the next time that same coworker asks you or the boss asks you, and you're going to say, sure, sure. I don't have a life. I can help you fix this. Or I'll also say, you're the first to be called if there are issues, but you're the last to be called if the office is going to go for a night on the town, because especially fixers can be quite responsible, and responsible people are just not that fun. They're responsible. So there are just some pathways here. There are some frameworks. There are some patterns here that you may notice about yourself, or you will know others in your life or friends that you might have who are fixers, and that you would just like to sit down and have a nice meal with them, to have them listen without having them feel like they have to fix your problems all the time. So why am I bringing this up? Well, I already shared with you that my son asked me if I could just back off a little bit, but it's more than that. We've got a lot of problems in the world. We have a lot of people in the world who are trying to come up with ideas about how to fix the world, right now. And so there's a lot of problems, and there's a lot of fixers, and there's a lot of people who think we've got to move really fast on fixing things. And so the pressure to fix things is at an all-time high, and it can be really challenging for the fixers to kind of just stand back and let things unfold as they should, which is another line that is often used in the spiritual community. I'm just letting things unfold as they should. But when all hell breaks loose, it's really hard for the fixer to just let the plates fall and shatter all over the floor. So we're going to just keep helping each other on this. All right, let's see here. Or your children from a very young age are taught that you, as the mother or the father, they can come to you because you're going to fix everything. You're going to make everything better. You're going to, even that skinned up knee, you put a Band-Aid on, you give it a kiss, everything's all better. You're going to go buy them an ice cream. So you're going to make it better. But as adults struggle to fix their own issues, they might struggle to fix their own issues because they never had an opportunity as children to problem solve, to let things break, to let things fall apart, to not make the soccer team, to not win the spelling bee. You see what I'm saying? Like the children are not given an opportunity because the parent might be jumping in to make things better. And unfortunately, I was really guilty of that. Or you might have some of your own adult children become the fixers, where they too will follow in your footsteps, like I followed in my wonderful mother's footsteps. So these are some of the issues that can show up as children. So energetically, the fixer can feel when there's disharmony, right? You can feel it in the room when you walk in. There's a problem. There's disharmony in the energy field around everything. The fixer desires harmony, right? A fixer is a healer or a parent or a good friend, and they want harmony. And so they're going to seek out where the problem is, where the disharmony is, and they're going to jump right in and help everyone to fix it. But here, this is what the thing is. So listen to this. This is the issue. Sometimes the fixer can harmonize things too quickly. All right, hear that. Sometimes the fixer can fix things far too quickly, and the individuals do not get what they would have gained for being discordant or disharmonized for a while. So what I think what we all know is when we're uncomfortable, we make a move. When we are deeply hurt, somebody has broken our heart, broken up with us, gotten a divorce, we don't get that promotion, we lose our job, we're hurting really, really badly, and we're just crying in our soup, and that could go for days, weeks, or months on end. And during that time, it's a very healing, cleansing time. And out of that can come some really great ideas. Or it's like, wow, this would be a great time for me to start a new career. This would be a great time for maybe me to be single for a while. But if the fixer comes in and tries to help someone else bring everything quickly into harmony, then that individual never gets to drop into those deeper levels of pain that will inspire them to move to another level. Often the fixer can actually hear the mind of the person that is speaking. They can hear in their inner voice, they can hear that the broken person or the broken situation, they can hear the break in the energy field, often long before the broken individual knows that things are breaking. That's the challenging part with the fixer. When you know that things are about ready to break for that person and you want to intervene because you want everything to stay in harmony, the fixer can ask the person how they're doing. How are you doing? I've had people ask me that before. How are you doing? I'm good. Are you sure you're good? So anyway, the fixer can help someone ask how they're doing. The person says fine. The fixer can see that, nope, you're not actually fine. There's a train going 200 miles an hour about ready to hit this enormous concrete wall and smash everything to smithereens, and that the house is going to burn down and the family's going to fall apart. And, an accident is just, car accident is just waiting to happen. So there's a lot of this that can go on. So the fixer will attempt to ask leading questions to see if they can get you to say, yeah, I do have some broken parts. Yeah, I guess I better look at that. The fixer can attempt to head off the crash, head off the house that might be burning down, because the fixer knows that if the individual crashes, then everything around them crashes, and the cleanup on aisle 7 is going to take a lot longer. So a fixer knows that if you can head things off at the pass, it's going to be a lot easier because things are just not going to fall apart. If you wait for everything to fall apart, then the fixer's looking at this bigger mess that needs to be cleaned up. But this is the issue. If someone else has a mess to clean up, the fixer doesn't really have to fix it, but the fixer thinks that they need to fix it. Is anybody relating to what I'm saying? So as the fixer, you wish to avoid messes because you don't want to you're going to avoid the cleanup at all costs. And it might not even be your mess. You've heard me say that. So Often the fixer can even see the person looks distorted. The facial expressions look distorted, or the shoulders are up around the ears, and they're like, I'm fine, I'm relaxed, and it's like, yeah, no, you're not. Or they can see the anger and the frustration on your face. I'm happy. What are you talking about? You must not be happy, but I'm happy. So you can see all that as a healer, as an energy person, as a spiritual fixer. You can see there's trouble on the horizon, and the fixer will move in to help the individual come to center. So sometimes you're like, okay, I'm not going to interfere with this, but how about I offer you a healing? Would you like me to do a reading on that? Or how about why don't we just go to dinner? Let's go do something fun. Let's go dancing. Well, let's have a bigger conversation. Are you sure? I'm really here for you, if you want to talk about it. So there's a lot of ways that fixers will kind of try to move in ways to try to help. Now, don't get me wrong, we do need fixers in the world, but if fixers are always fixing things so that the person who needs to break to learn and grow can't ever break to learn and grow, then that's where the issues might be the problem. So again, taking them out to lunch so that they can share with you what their troubles are. Afterwards, you might pick up an item at the store that would help them fix the problem. You might drop by their house to help them clean up. Often the person who might need fixing never uses that item that you felt like they needed because it was going to make their life better. Is anybody guilty of that? So the fixer always knows when someone needs help, and the fixers make great healers. So one of the things, because I teach people intuitive development, and I teach them at that, not just to trust their intuition, have faith with their intuition, so that everyone has access to those extrasensory abilities to help them navigate the pitfalls, the bumps in the road, the trees that have fallen in front of your path. So if you have your intuitive senses, you can head off those issues so you don't need or feel like somebody needs to come in and fix it. So I teach at that level, but I also teach professional psychic development for those who wish to have a career in psychic development. And so one of the things that we talk about boundaries, we talk about morals, we talk about with the students, we have those hard conversations like, whose issue is this during the reading? Is it their issue? Is it your issue? Drop your agendas. Don't have an agenda. Be neutral. No matter what they say, they are in the driver's seat of their life. Only answer what they ask. When I was a hospice nurse, I was trained in the same way. Don't make my agenda as a hospice nurse to tell you what you need to do, or that you might need to get things in order. We were always trained that the question that's ready to be asked is the question that's ready to have an answer. So that was my training. And even as a psychic, it's like, I might see things in your energy field, but if you never ask about it, I'm highly trained to never bring it up. And so unless it's part of the general reading. So in a fixer, it's kind of the same thing here. So what I have grown to say now is if there's some way I can support you, please let me know. You can say, I'm willing to do anything, but you just must let me know. Pick up the phone and call me. Or, hey, I'd like to make a meal for you because all your family's down and sick with COVID. Would you mind if I made you some soup and brought it over? And no is an okay answer. So it's like being clear that way. Like you might intuitively say, I'd like to help in this way. Or, you guys are sick. Can I pick up the kids and take them to school for you? I'm happy to do that. And again, no is an okay answer. So again, the fixers make fantastic healers, but as healers, you may need to keep that work in the healing office and not reach out to the client to offer more suggestions later or pick them up little gifts and things to help them out with their problems. You want to help to make your client or your friend or your parents, you want them to feel like they're in charge of their life and that they can problem solve. And I'm trying to think, what was the other word I wanted to use for this? That they have the strength, that they have the power, that they have the skill and ability to know what they intuitively need. So speaking of my office, so I had a full practice, and this was, goodness, it was around 2003. So I ended up moving to South Africa. And in fact, I moved in other countries for about 5 years. But I had a very strong client base. I was booked out a nice, robust practice, let's put it that way. And so when I started sharing with my clients that I was going to close down my practice and that I was going to move to South Africa, they were pretty upset. A lot of them were pretty upset. Like, what am I going to do whenever I'm having these issues? I can come, you can energetically look at the issues, you can help clear any blocked energy, you can help me look at the spiritual contracts and agreements, you can help get things smoothed out, because when your energy field is smooth, your life is smooth. When your energy field is chaotic, your life is chaotic. So the life might be chaotic. They come in as a healer. I help smooth things out in the energy field. When they go back into their life, everything calms down. All right. So now they're very upset. But I just kept talking to Spirit, and Spirit's like, you're going to have to trust that their spirit is going to get them to the right person at the right time, at the right moment, to help solve the right problems that they need solved at the time. I did give them a list of healers. I did give them a list of psychic readers, of places that they could go to get help, and that I'll let them know when I come back. So I came back a couple of years later. I was able to open my office again in that same building. I did email everybody and let them know I was back, and my clients came back. And this is the thing. They looked better than they did when I was seeing them on a regular basis. So I was really curious why. So I said, oh, wow, have you been seeing another healer? No, I decided not to. I would just wait till you got back. Or I saw another healer a couple times, but then I just used the tools you taught me and I applied them independently to my own life. What I found out and what I learned in an enormous way is if I continue to help you to fix your energy field and fix your issues, you're going to become dependent on me or another healer to do that. But given your own, giving you the option, whether you wanted that option or not, to become independent in your own energetic self-care, what I noticed was my clients grew in ways they would not have grown if I had been there. So it really helped me to say, every time I had sessions with them, you can do this. What do you think you need to do? Sounds like a great choice. And so I was able to reflect back to them that they had the answers to their life, and they grew in huge ways. So the next story, so my mother is a great fixer. She is a really great fixer. And she has all those wonderful qualities that I have mentioned. And she's really quick, like intuitively quick for anybody that wants to come talk to her to kind of see. She's a great listener, and to help them to see what maybe their next step is that they need to take. So I remember after I had my son, who's now 43 years old, and I remember saying to her that I'm not feeling very pretty because none of my clothes fit after the pregnancy, and I'm just not feeling very good about myself. And next thing you know, my mother's come over a couple days later with a lot of these new clothes for me to wear. And as sweet as it was still, they were kind of a little old fashioned for me. I was only 22 years old. But she immediately wanted to help me to feel better. And that's quite sweet and that's quite lovely, right? And then I said to her, I'm feeling really bugged. I've moved into this house and yeah, I've got all the boxes unpacked, but I've been here for a year, Mom, and I haven't even hung up one picture. The next thing you know, a couple days later, both my parents came over. I know you guys are all going to say this is as sweet can be, and it is. But they came over with hammers and nails and picture hanging things. And they said, pull out all the pictures that you have and let's lay them out. And she showed me, this is how I do it. And she went from room to room. This picture would look good here. This one would look good here. And by 10 o'clock that night, all the pictures in the house were hung up. So it's really lovely, right? To have somebody to want to come fix that. Because clearly if I'd been there 10 years, I probably still wouldn't have hung up any pictures. And then I expressed a desire to write, that I really wanted to write. And next thing you know, this word processor, so this is before computers, but this word processor shows up in the mail for me, and I open the box, and so it's going to help it to make it really easy for me to write and to be able to edit and to be able to correct things. And then one day I realized that I was having a dream and I was having a desire, and she was filling that gap. But what was happening was like the tension of hanging up the pictures. I needed that tension to kind of move me a little bit. Or I needed that tension of not feeling very good to inspire me to go out and get clothes, or I needed that dream and desire of being a writer, that I could hand write out things that I might dream and desire and maybe save up my money, and maybe in a year or two might purchase my own word processing. What I realized, it was during that time of tension of not having my needs filled and met immediately, was actually a healing process for me. So when I asked my mother, I said, you know what, Mom, I really need, I do want to talk, and I do want you to listen, and I do want to whine and complain sometimes, but I'm going to ask you not to be so quick at fixing things for me, because I feel like this would be a time of maturing for me and growth for me. So I had that ability to recognize that. When I had my out-of-body experience, and I was really distressed, and I was talking to both my parents, and I was talking, it was like I was distressed. I didn't understand this out-of-body thing. And so I did go find somebody, a psychic who teaches meditation, and I did leave the address at home because I was afraid. And I said, if nobody ever sees me again, this is my last known location. So anyway, she calls, my husband gives her the address, and she comes into the stairs. She comes walking in the room while I'm sitting there waiting to talk to somebody who might know what an out-of-body experience is. And the first words out of her mouth were, I'm not here to cross the bridge for you. I'm here to walk with you. And so that is ultimately where we are going, right? So to look at those where we're over trying to fix, where we're moving our energy into somebody else's energy field because we think we know what's better for them and we can fix it. They don't have that ability to fix it, but we know what to do. So fixing others is a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism because it's like, if we can keep peace in the house, then everybody will be happy. So how do you know when to wait, when to fix, when to help pick up the pieces, or simply focus on your life, your own dreams, your own desires, and know that the other person, you have trust and faith that the other person will truly make it through it on the other side? How are you going to know what to do? In those conversations, you need to have them with your own spirit. Not be so quick to fix. If that plate is dropping on the floor, the plate of someone else's life, don't be so quick to jump out and grab it. Let it drop, let it shatter. Now, of course, I'm not talking about life-threatening things. I want to be clear about that, but just like normal, everyday things. Let the plate break, let it shatter. Being a fixer is like using super glue to glue somebody's life together again over and over again. And breaking can be a good thing. Breaking can be a good thing. How many times have you broken and you've come out the other side bigger and better and stronger and wiser and more knowledgeable, right? So let the plate break. So when we can enable people to become dependent on fixers quickly with the ability to know exactly what to do, and the end result is that their mind becomes numb, it becomes lazy, and it's like a muscle that never gets exercised. So people, yeah, they need to problem solve. Again, coming back to my son, I remember when he had to learn how to figure things out and get an apartment and pay his rent. He said it was such the best time of his life because he said growing up, he never had to learn how to survive. And so he didn't have that survival muscle well exercised. And when he went through problem solving, he loved it because he was accomplishing his life, right? He didn't need somebody else to fix it and jump in for him. So just to kind of finalize it, when I lived in South Africa, they have this kind of tradition where they let their kids take responsibility and take the consequences of their behaviors. And they start at 3 years old and they let the 3-year-old take a little bit of consequence and the parent takes the rest of the consequence. As they get older, 5 and 6 and 7, they let them take more consequences. So if they steal a piece of candy from the store or whatever, and then the parents help to teach and help kind of take some of the hits because they're still kind of young. But my friend said by the time a child is 13 years old, they let them take the full consequences of their actions and of their behaviors. The parents step back, they don't jump in to fix. So there's a lot energetically that's happening here by moving in the field, moving out of the field, not letting someone totally drop into the decisions that they've made, the good, the bad, the ugly. So this is a time where let's step back and let's look at all those pieces. Are you the fixer or are you one that waits to be fixed? So hope that I leave you with some ways of thinking and looking at the energy field and looking at your role in life a little bit deeper, just like I'm being asked by my own son to take a look at my own fixing tendencies. All right, everyone, take care. Hope that you enjoyed what I was sharing with you today. And I would love to hear your own fixing stories or being overly fixed or being surrounded by people who don't think that you can fix yourself. Love to read all your stories in the comments section. All right, everyone, take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.